Chair Asiaro, Chair Edwards, thank you for calling this hearing. I've had the pleasure to work with you both over the past 7 months, and I know we share the goal of making housing more fair and affordable for the people of Massachusetts. And on a personal note, I'd like to thank you both and your staffs for your many kindnesses and courtesies that you've extended to me and my team. Also, thank you to Vice Chair Kilcoyne and Keenan, as well as the entire committee. As you've heard from Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, access to housing is the greatest challenge facing our state. Thanks to their leadership and in partnership with the legislature, together you've created the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities to give voice to the important issue that concerns so many of the people we serve. I come to you today to share a vision to stem the rising tide of unaffordability in our state, while ensuring a more equitable, affordable, and competitive Commonwealth for everyone. The Affordable Homes Act is not a typical bond bill, because this is not a typical crisis. Over the past several months, we met with more than 120 different groups. The purpose was clear: to find the best and brightest solutions to our housing needs. I met with would-be homeowners, hardworking people who saved up everything they could and yet still can't buy a home because they are getting outbid by someone paying $20,000 or $30,000 over asking price. I visited our public housing across the state. In Dorchester, a resident invited me inside her home to feel the persistent cold draft from the windows, and we saw water pooling outside her doorway. This apartment, like many others in our state's robust public housing system, suffers from decades of underinvestment. I spoke to people who build homes, to people who buy homes, and people who have been completely shut out of the system. The Affordable Homes Act that is before you now is the result of that engagement. It takes an unprecedented need to create the unconventional alliances that are gathered here with us today. The people you see from every walk of life: employers, housing advocates, tenant organizations, labor unions, and business leaders. And they all know what you know. It simply costs too much to live here. And the rising costs are threatening the American dream here in Massachusetts. Doing nothing is not an option. While visiting Hyannis, I saw pictures drawn by children of what home means to them. A little child drew a beautiful picture of a house. In crayon below was written comfortable, safe, quiet. From a child's drawing, we're reminded of the power of home. If we do nothing years from now, those children will look back and say, why didn't we do something? But if we act now, those same children might just say, thank goodness they acted when they did. We must act on behalf of our talented college graduates who are leaving our state to find more affordable places to start careers. We must act on behalf of the young families who, no matter how hard they work, can't afford to buy their first home. And we must act on behalf of our older residents. Just when they should be enjoying the rewards of their golden years, seniors are now the fastest growing segment of our homeless population. And we must act now to reverse those trends. The Affordable Homes Act is ambitious, it's innovative, it's smart, but most of all, it meets the moment of this housing crisis. We projected it would create or preserve nearly 70,000 units of housing that otherwise wouldn't be built. The $4.1 billion in spending authorizations and 28 policy changes in the Affordable Homes Act will put Massachusetts on the right track for decades to come. It restores dignity to our public housing residents with a $1.6 billion of capital improvements. It provides families a real shot at home ownership through programs like Mass Dreams, Commonwealth Builder, and a new home ownership production tax credit. It creates an Office of Fair Housing to combat housing discrimination. It advances our climate goals by investing in decarbonization of our public housing stock and building climate-resilient, affordable housing. It offers innovative housing production opportunities with a new momentum fund to accelerate mixed-income family housing development and facilitates conversions of offices, malls, retail spaces for residential use. This bill also gives communities the tools they told us they need. Tools like the local option real estate transfer fee, which a dozen communities have asked for as a way to locally raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for affordable housing. It allows accessory dwelling units by right. That simple change could gently add between 8,000 and 10,000 units of new housing in the next 5 years, while providing more options for homeowners and our aging residents, all at no cost to the Commonwealth. Eviction record ceiling, social housing, seasonal communities, permanent supportive housing, these are solutions that came from you and your colleagues. They're all smart policies that will strengthen Massachusetts. Taken together, the package of policies and spending authorizations is a powerful remedy to the challenges before us. The Affordable Homes Act will jumpstart housing production in a way that will lower costs for everyone and make Massachusetts stronger. The scarcity of housing is the greatest threat to the Commonwealth's long-term success. We can't afford not to act. Earlier this week, we celebrated the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. While calling for action to address racial and social injustices, Dr. King famously said, quote, "There is such a thing as being too late," end quote. He spoke of the fierce urgency of now in confronting the challenges of that day. The family trying to buy their first home know the fierce urgency of now. The public housing tenant living in a drafty apartment knows the fierce urgency of now. The Korean War vet struggling to pay his rent knows the fierce urgency of now. For them and thousands more, we must act now. The problem of rising housing costs does not belong solely to our state, but this is Massachusetts. We solve problems. Together, we will lead the way. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you to the Governor and Lieutenant Governor.